1976. Hey guys, welcome to Amity Tracks. It's time to look at 1976. So what's going on in 76? Well, Jobs and Wozniak complete their first Apple computer, the Apple I. Eccentric billionaire, I don't know. Howard Hughes dies. Family Feud debuts on television. Bruce Jenner, when it was Bruce Jenner, wins gold at the Summer Olympics. The Muppet Show debuts. And Jimmy Carter wins the 76 election. All right, what's going on in music? So we're gonna do our top 10 countdown of at least my favorite albums of 76. But as usual, we'll start off with a little stack of honorable mentions, ones that almost made the list. What do we got here? We got the Rolling Stones with Black and Blue. An interesting record, actually. This is one that of the inner sleeve here. This is one that's grown on me, actually. Sometimes it has a reputation as kind of a toss-off. But what's kind of interesting about this record? They were trying to replace, or the Mick Taylor had left, and so they were kind of auditioning for new guitarists. And while they were auditioning, they kind of recorded an album. And so this is kind of cool because this record actually features several different guitar players, including Ron Wood, who, as you know, eventually got the gig. But fun story though, Jeff Beck was in fact one of the guitar players who supposedly came to play with them. And the story goes that Beck was a bit snooty and was sort of making fun of the, shall we say, simplistic, at least in his view, compositions from Jagger and Richards. And supposedly Keith Richards got so pissed he erased all the tapes that Beck was on. So anyway, I don't know if that's true. I've heard that story multiple places. So. Okay. Billy Joel, Turnstiles. Now, I've got a complicated relationship with Billy Joel's music. I used to love it. Then I really hated it. Now there's like select records that I like, and this is one of them. One of the few, but I think this is a good Billy Joel record. Lou Reed, Coney Island Baby. This is a surprisingly kind of like straightforward record for Lou Reed. Especially he had been doing some kind of out there stuff leading up to this, but this is good. This is good. Aerosmith rocks. Indeed, it does. Yeah, pretty awesome. Just did our Dylan video recently, but Bob Dylan Desire. I talked about this record in that video. Rush 2112. The love that back photo. Yeah, the bombast of the the over the top 70s prog Rush. That's good, great stuff though. Great stuff. And finally, in vinyl, I got a couple CDs to show you as well. But Kiss Destroyer comes out in 76. As big of a Kiss fan as I am, this is not like one of my very favorites. There's some great songs on there, but I don't love Destroyer all the way through as an album. A lot of people, it's their favorite Kiss album. It is not mine, but still pretty awesome. Real quick, I got about 3 CDs here to show you. AC/DC, Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap. Not much to say about that, right? Leonard Skinner, One More From the Road. Of course, we're the epic live version. It was a double live album, right? The epic live version of Freebird, of course, is here. But actually, the whole thing is really good. Really good. One of those great 70s double live albums. And finally, the debut from Jaco Pastorius. If you're into jazz, this ask any serious bass player who knows their stuff. I mean, this changed the landscape. I was actually just listening to this earlier tonight. It's remarkable. It's really cool. Is it's like I mean, it's like a bunch of different styles, but they're all like unified by the badass playing of Jaco Pastorius, And I mean, you don't have these great bass players later without him. I mean, you don't have Victor Wooten without Pastorius coming first. Okay, well, let's get into it. Top 10. At number 10, I have an interesting one. This is actually, I have this on CD too. Everything else is on vinyl, but I would love to find this on vinyl. I just haven't been able to. So right now, I just got to be happy with the CD. But this is one that a lot of you guys might not know. And it is Seed of Memory by Terry Reid. Now, I've mentioned Terry Reid before, probably, most well known in, rock trivia circles as the guy who was offered the lead singer position in Led Zeppelin but turned it down and then told Jimmy Page, "Hey, I got this buddy Robert Plant. Why don't you go check him out?" That's probably Terry Reid's most famous, action in rock and roll history. But I mean, there's a reason Page asked Reid to sing for him. Fantastic voice. It's one of the killer voices. This is a great record. Interestingly, produced by Graham Nash. Actually, you can hear Nash's background vocals on a few of these tunes, but this is interesting. This is one of those records that the first, if you're looking at the vinyl, the first side is incredible. Faith to Arise, Seed of Memory, Brave Awakening, and To Be Treated Right. Those 4 songs just blow you away. I mean, his voice, Force of Nature on there. It's just such great songs. The second half is just good. So if the second half were even close to as great as that first half, this might vie for number 1 on the list. I mean, check this out. This might be hard to find. I don't know, but check it out. It's pretty awesome. All right, number 9. When I was talking about the Stones' Black and Blue, I mentioned Jeff Beck, but I've got Jeff Beck's Wired right here. His follow-up to his groundbreaking Blow by Blow album. This is almost as great. It's also all instrumental. I got a little harder edge. Blow by Blow was a little more jazzy. This is a little kind of harder edge to it. Lead Boots, Blue Wind with Jan Hammer, right? And Goodbye Pork Pie Hat. His version of the Charles Mingus tune is just gorgeous. If you want to hear, I guess another example of why Jeff Beck is so admired by other guitar players. Okay, at number 8. I mean, I don't know. Had to have this one, I guess. It deserves it. Hotel California from the Eagles. There you go. Hotel California. As overplayed as the title track is, it deserves its status. I mean, you put it on right now, it's still just a remarkably great song. Just so well written. I mean, musically, that music that Don Felder came up with, do not underestimate the greatness of Don Felder here. And then, of course, the lyrics and vocals from Don Henley. I mean, that just makes one of the great classic songs of all time, right? And then the rest of this, Life in the Fast Lane's great. It's a great Joe Walsh tune. To me, the sleeper on here, though, what is it? I think it's Try and Love Again. That's a gorgeous song. I think Felder, too. But anyway, that's a beautiful song. Not a hit. That's great. But I don't know. There might be, to me, just one too many ballads on here. It could use a little, like maybe one more rocker, but Hotel California. Number 7 from Mr. Bob Seger. Got Night Moves. Look at those guys. Silver Bullet Band. Does that say 70s to you? Seeger, Bob Seger's great. Bob Seger, in my view, Bob Seger has a lot of really great songs, but for me, only one really great album, and it's this. To me, this is the only album that kind of holds up all start to finish from Seeger. But it is awesome. Rock and Roll Never Forgets, that wonderful title track. Night Moves, Fire Down Below, Sunburst Rocks, Sunset, Sunspot Baby's cool. What's probably my favorite Seeger song, Main Street, gorgeous. That guitar line in there. Anyway, Night Moves. All right. Let's see. Number 6. Number 6 is a story of triumph. And, well, I'll just show it to you. Genesis, A Trick of the Tail. There you go. There you go. Oh, well, here, just show you the whole fold out here. Genesis, A Trick of the Tail. This, to me, is like similar to the story with the Allman Brothers, when Dwayne Allman dies. And you think, how could they possibly go on? Now, there's no death here, but Peter Gabriel left, right? After Lamb Lies Down on Broadway, Peter Gabriel left the band. He was such a unique vocalist presence, just such a the charisma, all of that. A lot of people kind of wrote Genesis. They're like, oh, they're done, right? How can they go on without Peter Gabriel? And an interesting story is, they were auditioning a bunch of people to take Gabriel's place as the new lead singer. I don't know, dozens and dozens of people. And of course, Phil Collins, who is the drummer in Genesis, and he sang background vocals, and I think he had one or two lead vocals on a previous record. I know at least one. He would be the one who would kind of show the new the guys that are auditioning, kind of show them how the song goes. It's like, yeah, it goes like this, and he'd sing it so they can kind of get an idea of how to sing it. But none of these guys were clicking, and they just at some point they just decided to hell with it, or let Phil do it. I'll do it. And so that's how Phil Collins becomes the lead singer for Genesis, promoting from within. And then this is the first record to come out post Peter Gabriel, and it is fantastic. Now, very much kind of in the style of Gabriel era Genesis. It's still pretty proggy, but man, it's as amazing as Peter Gabriel is. It sounds like they don't miss him. I Dance on a Volcano, Squonk, Robbery, Assault, and Battery. A Trick of the Tail, Los Endos. It's just, God, so great. I mean, this is great, and like I said, I mean, it's just great on its own merits. But then you understand the backstory. It's like, what a triumph, right? Okay, number 5. Gonna go with Jailbreak, Thin Lizzy. There you go. The great late Phil Lynott, right? Yeah, I mean, to me, this is it. This is just hard rock greatness. Obviously, the title track. This whole thing, though, man, start to finish, this just rocks. So great, so great. And I think I don't know. You know what? I mean, they're a great hard rock band, but in some ways, what sort of sets them apart is Lynott. His lyrics, um, just his persona. It's just something a little bit different. But this, yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you. I have not heard everything from Thin Lizzy. I'm not like a die hard or anything, but from everything I've heard, I mean, this record stands kind of far and above. All right, number 4. Man, this was huge. This was huge. Steve Miller Band, Fly Like an Eagle. I mean, how many hits are off of this thing? Obviously, Fly Like an Eagle, Serenade, Take the Money and Run. It's a Just so great. Rocking Me. Yeah, I mean, just huge hits off of here, and the album tracks are great too. This whole thing plays awesome. And what a killer album cover too. Steve in action. I mean, I don't know. Not much to say about this. This stuff was ubiquitous all over the radio in the '80s or in the '70s, and then even now all over classic rock radio. You still hear these songs. So great. Top three. Here we go. And as usual, got a killer lineup in the top three. At number three is a record that was released in 2017, but was recorded in 1976. So it goes here. Neil Young's Archives has been just a godsend to Neil fans. So much amazingly great stuff released through his Archives project. This might be, to me, the crown jewel so far. I think the best thing to be released through the Archives. A lot of the Archives, live albums and performances and stuff like this. But there's been a few kind of these lost albums that he recorded but never released, and this is one of them. Talking about Hitchhiker. Love that album cover too. So great. Neil on the beach, right? Hitchhiker. This was recorded in one drunken evening, solo acoustic. Just Neil and his engineer David Briggs, and God, it's good. I mean, it is just remarkably great. Now, a lot of these songs are familiar because they would, appear later on various records, the next couple of years after this. Since this, they were talking about putting this out. I think Briggs wanted to put it out, but maybe the record label. I don't remember the story exactly, but Neil was convinced to kind of shelve it, or maybe Neil decided to shelve it. But I'm so glad he decided to, dust it off and let us have it. But Pocahontas, Powderfinger, Captain Kennedy, Hawaii, Give Me Strength. Such a great song. It's just one of those, like amazing songs from Neil in the '70s that he just never put on an album like in the '70s. I mean, how do you keep stuff like that in the vault, dude? Ride My Llama, Hitchhiker, which is a great song, Campaigner, Human Highway, and the Old Country Waltz. That's the track listing on here. And, most of those songs would appear later or in possibly other versions, other arrangements, but on records over the next however many years. But to hear it all here, solo acoustic, Neil's animated, it's just powerful performances. Yeah, if you hadn't picked this one up, this stands tall with all of Neil's great '70s stuff. I love this record. Okay, two more. Number two, Mr. Bowie, David Bowie, Station to Station. Bowie was so coked up during this period, apparently, supposedly. He claimed later to not remember recording this at all, but whatever. It's brilliant. And the opener, Station to Station, I mean, is like progressive, experimental rock, and just to open a record, from a mainstream artist like that is so bold. Golden Years is maybe one of my favorites of his hits, of his hit songs. I've always loved Golden Years. Stay just rocks. Anyway, this is great. This sort of a precursor. This sort of opens up the the experimental era that is about to begin with Bowie. But my number one for 1976 is a band who I've featured a lot in these years. At least in the sometimes in the list, sometimes the honorable mention, but pretty much in the '70s, whenever they put out an album, I'm gonna mention it. And this one is in my number one slot for '76. Talking about Steely Dan's The Royal Scam. Steely Dan's The Royal Scam. Now it's interesting. This one doesn't a lot of times doesn't appear, near the top of a lot of people's favorites. When they're talking about Steely Dan music, it does for me. Yeah, I'm not saying it's. Well, I'm not gonna tell you if it's my number one Steely Dan record because we'll do a Steely Dan ranking at some point. But Kid, I guess maybe part of it is Kid Charlemagne. I think is the only song on here that's and Haitian Divorce maybe that's kind of well known, that's appeared on some of the hits collections. So a lot of this stuff, isn't it is well known, but it's the same high quality, and Sign In Stranger is great. Title track is awesome. And then again, you look at the just the lineup of the musicians that Donald Fagen and Walter Becker get on here, and it's just you know top notch session guys. It's just so well played. Well, all right, there you go. So you guys tell me in the comments, who who'd I leave out? Leave out some great records from '76. Put them in the comments. Let's talk about it. Please do subscribe to the channel. It really helps us out. Helps us do what we want to do. Like the videos, hit the bell for notifications, all that good stuff. And we'll see you next time.